moment. So today we're going to be talking about how you can kite surf and then go and kite surf again and again and again and again. And the reason that this is such a pertinent point is because we used to see all the time on our kite surfing camps, the same thing would happen. You know, these people would rock up to a camp, and it was a week-long camp that we did. Super, super stoked. Day one, they'd go out and hit the water, really, really enthusiastic. Day two, they'd probably do the same. By day three, they were just smoked. You know, and I'm sure you've had this if you've been on an activity holiday when you're not necessarily in great shape, or, you know, as we get old, you know, this is something that I see a lot in people kind of as they hit 35 and onwards. If they're not doing the right stuff, they'll get to day two or day three of a week-long holiday, whatever we do, kite surfing, surfing, snowboarding, whatever, and their body betrays them. They just cannot recover fast enough from the day's activity, from the day's sport, to be able to do it at the same level the next day. And this is obviously huge. You know, if you've paid for a kite surfing holiday, for example, or a surfing holiday or whatever, you've gone snowboarding for a week, and by day three, you find you sat on the beach or sat at the bar at the bottom of the slope just watching all the other young guns having a great time, and you're thinking, my God, what's going on, you know? And it's simply because your body doesn't have that same ability to recover. We lose that ability as we get older. Generally, we don't have to. There are very specific things we can do to ensure that those 20-year-olds are the ones trying to catch up, keep up with us. And that's what I'm going to talk about over the next 10, 15 minutes. So before I really dig into this, I want to highlight what I see as the major problem when it comes to recovery. And that is that people see recovery as they tend to break down kind of exercise, if you like, or sports or whatever they're doing, into three phases. The pre-sport phase, the actual activity phase, and then the post-recovery phase. Now, I don't see it like that. I don't think you should see it like that either. What I would encourage you to do is see everything, your entire lifestyle, as the recovery phase. Recovery begins long before we hit the water. You know, it should be something, let's say you're going kite surfing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it should be something that you're thinking about from 8 o'clock in the morning. But ideally, it was something that you were thinking about from 8 o'clock 3 months ago in the morning, because that's how it really works. And I say, what I want to do is really explain that to you today. To do this, I want to explain how it works, because when we talk about recovery, all we're actually talking about is your body's ability to bounce back from stress. That's all this is. It's super, super simple. Recovery is basically what is actually trying to recover is your immune system. Exercise, as you know, as I'm sure you know, is actually a stressor when you're doing it. It's breaking the body down. And then that period when you ache, you know, when you're feeling lethargic the next day, that is your body rebuilding itself stronger. But while it's doing that, it needs time off. It needs downtime. It needs downtime from that stress. It needs to clear the stress out and then rebuild faster. So you can really, really think of your ability to recover. Really what we're talking about is your ability, your resilience against stress, and your ability to recover from stress. So let's break it down really simply. So what I want you to do is think of your resilience to stress as a cup. Okay, and what happens? The size of that cup is the amount of resilience you've got against stress. Liquid, as it goes into that cup, is the actual stress. And if that cup ever overflows, then you've got big problems, because that's when your body kind of goes into chaos. Things start shutting down, things stop working. You have to take days off. So what we're trying to do with recovery basically is three things. We're trying to increase the size of the cup primarily. We're also trying to take as much liquid as we can out of that cup at all times. And thirdly, linked to that, we're trying to make sure there's a very, very effective system for draining liquid from that cup. Because if you can go kite surfing, fill your cup up with stress because you're really, really pushing it, Then leave the water, have that cup drain. Well, first have a huge cup so that you can take a lot of stress in the first place. So a kite surfing session, a simple 3-hour kite surfing session, doesn't even begin to fill the cup up. You've still got redundancy in your stress cup, your resilience cup, whatever you want to call it. But also that then after you get off the water, you can drain that cup out really, really fast so that by the next day, your cup's empty again and you can start again. So this is all we're talking about. It's the body's ability to resist stress. Remember, exercise is a stressor. So that's all we're trying to do with recovery. Now, if you just focus on that part of let's try and get as much liquid out of this cup after a kite surfing session as we can, that's great, but you're missing half the picture, because actually what's much easier and what's much more effective long term is just have a bigger cup. If I've got a bigger cup, I can fill that liquid, but it doesn't need to be as efficient. It just means I've got more inbuilt resilience. So this is why I say that the ability to recover after a kite surfing session, after a snowboarding session, after a surfing session, it starts before you get anywhere near the water. It's not something that you want to focus on exclusively afterwards, because as we'll see, a lot of the recovery, faster recovery tips, hacks, biohacks, whatever you want to call them, they're not that effective. Or they're very, very expensive and very difficult to do. Whereas a lot of the pre-session recovery tips are very, very simple. They're free and they're often very, very easy. They don't require a lot of fancy equipment. So let's dive into that a little bit now. So what are we talking about? You know, how can we increase the size of the cup before you hit the water? How can we reduce the amount of liquid in the cup before you hit the water so you've got more resilience before you even get to the beach? Well, really, really simple things, and none of this you won't have heard before, I am sure. An anti-inflammatory, high nutrient diet. Boom. Super simple, you know. Boring because everyone talks about it, but it's because everyone talks about it because it works. It's so simple and so ignored. You know, that's one of the biggest things you can do. That will instantly, that inflammation, you know, your immune system is constantly fighting against inflammation. So the less inflammation you've got in the body as a baseline level, the more bandwidth your immune system's got to spend on recovery from your kite surfing. Super simple. Anything you can do in the background to reduce inflammation, to reduce stress on your body, is going to give you more ability to recover long term. So that's the first one, I would say. Number two, and these aren't necessarily in order, these are just in the order that I've written them down. So there's no priority on these in that sense, because it will differ for each person as well, will the priority that you go into these. Number two, young muscles. Muscles, what I mean by that is muscle, I don't mean you've got to, it doesn't work if you're not 20. What I mean is muscles that are seemingly young, i.e. do not have a lot of knots and tension and damage in them. Why? Because all those knots and damage and things like that, it stops blood flow, it stops oxygen, it stops nutrients getting to the muscle, and it stops the lymphatic system from draining toxins, waste products out of those muscles. And again, that's vital for recovery. Your muscles are going to get broken down when you're exercising. So what you need is you need to make sure that those muscles, once they have exercised and whilst they are exercising, they get all the nutrients they need and they get cleared out again. Now, how do you do that? Well, again, we've talked about this in another video, pliability, deep tissue massage, things like this. Get those knots out, keep those muscles young. Super simple. Great sleep, obvious. I'm not going to go into that. It's damn obvious. That's when you recover. You know, get a load of sleep. If you go kite surfing, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep the night before and the day before and as many days before as you can. Cold water. Now, this goes hand in hand with kite surfing. We are generally, depending on where you're kite surfing in cold water, but that cold water immersion reduces inflammation, which again means the immune system's got more bandwidth to enable you to recover from that kite surfing faster. None of this is complicated. None of this you've not heard before. It's just no one, you know, you may not be doing it at the moment. Fasting, another one, another great way of getting rid of inflammation. Fast every now and again. Not necessarily on a day when you're going kite surfing, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But fasting every now and again is a great way to clear out, reduce inflammation in the body. Again, boost that immune system, which is what this is all about, really. This is one of my favorite things. This one costs you a bit of money, but it's brilliant. Systemic enzymes. The ones I use, the brand I like to use, are called WOB enzyme. They're quite hard to get hold of. I've just ordered some in this morning, coming in from the States. Thank you, Brexit. Made my life much more difficult. Systemic enzymes, basically, as we get older, as you get past 25, your body slows down the production of them. And these, what they're responsible for is going around the body, finding scar tissue on muscles, cartilage, ligaments, things like this, and eating it, basically, for want of a better word. They eat the scar tissue. So again, it goes back to this getting younger muscles. Again, helping nutrient flow to the muscles, helping toxins drain from the muscles, all that good stuff. Systemic enzymes, it's a really, really simple one. You take, a few pills every day. They're totally natural. There's nothing in there that you wouldn't get from food. It's just they're concentrated in this form. And I say, as we get older, the body stops producing them, which is why, as we get older, we tend to ache more after exercise, or one of the major reasons, because we don't have as many systemic enzymes. So go and grab yourself a load of them. That's not an affiliate link or anything. It's just they're the ones I use. I find them brilliant. Literally, I can go and kite surf for 6 hours, take a load of them that night, and the next morning, it's, oh my God, I feel like I'm 18 again. Nothing aches. This is unbelievable. And yet, on their own, they probably don't do that. I do an awful lot of other things. All these other things I'm talking about, I do them as well. So they're all feeding in. But systemic enzymes for me were the thing that really, wow, that's instant effect. So that's a great tip for people there, systemic enzymes. Water. Drink enough bloody water. Enough said, not going to say any more about that. Omega-3, another great anti-inflammatory. Again, helping your immune system, giving your immune system that bandwidth. Collagen. Collagen's really useful for repairing muscles, repairing ligaments, repairing connective tissue. Again, just helps in that recovery process. If you can get grass-fed, if you're going for the, I would go for, sorry, all you vegetarians, I would go for the animal one because it has more available amino acids in it. It's the best one, grass-fed, grass-finished, if you possibly can. Great Lakes do a really good one. Bulletproof do a really good one as well. Daylight. Get enough daylight. Crappy light, the lights that I'm under at the moment, is awful. It stresses you out. And again, anything that adds stress into that cup is going to take away from your recovery time. So I want you to think, everything that stresses you out, that's affecting how long it takes you to get back on the water again. It's just a connection we don't normally make. When you think of it like this, when you think of it in terms of that stress cup, suddenly it all starts to make sense. So moving on from that, the secret sauce, if you want the what I'm trying to say, wrap everything up, avoid as much stress as physically possible. Stupidly simple. But every little stressor that you have is adding another drop of liquid to that cup. And as that cup fills up, it means that you've got less ability to resist and to recover from the stress that you're going to put your body under when you go kite surfing. So this is why I'm saying it starts way before you hit the water. So some of the simple things you can do, again, to reduce stress, super easy. But the key is whatever works for you. The big one here that everyone talks about is meditation. Go meditate, it reduces stress. Yes, it does. It's brilliant. But for me personally, I've tried meditating for about 10 years now and never, ever managed to develop a practice because it bores the tits off me, to be honest. So what do? I go for a walk. I read. I try and hug a load of people, or maybe have a bit of sex because that, well, is a de-stressor. Anything that you can do like this, anything that children, whatever works for you, works. Hanging out with friends, having a laugh, I wouldn't say hanging out with friends and having a beer, necessarily going to the pub, which is some of the recommendations I see, because that's kind of, there's a contradiction there. Yes, you're relaxing, but you're also filling yourself with beer, which is stressing you out. But going to the pub and having a few waters and maybe a glass of wine, do it. If that's what chills you out. Chilling out in the Chiringuito or the beach bar after you've been kite surfing, hanging out, having a decent meal, having a salad or whatever, or watching the sunset, great. These things are all helping your relaxation. Why do you think that professional athletes spend most of their bloody day in the hot tub? It's not because they love hot, well, probably is because they love hot tubs, but it's because they do an intense amount of exercise and then they know, right, I'll have an ice bath and then I'm going to go and sit in the jacuzzi for 3 hours because it will chill me the fuck out. Yeah. So it's this idea of exercise and then intense, focused relaxation. And that means in every kind of aspect, relaxation, de-stress, whatever, anything you can do to lower that cup, to stop that cup filling up, to stop it from overflowing, because you are adding a ton of stress by going kite surfing for 3 hours. And don't think that you're not, you are, especially if you're coming from an office background or something like that, or a fairly sedentary lifestyle and expecting to go on a holiday and beast it for a week, kite surfing every day for 3, 4, 5 hours. It's not going to happen. That cup just is not big enough, and you haven't got enough drainage systems in place unless you are very, very conscientious before you go. Okay. Now, if you want to grab my entire, what I call active recovery routine, I've put it all in this book, along with a load of other stuff, workouts, things like you can do. The book's free. The link is here, Post 40 Secrets, tantrumx.com, Post 40 Secrets. You can go and grab the book there, or there's a download link in the show notes, wherever you're watching or listening to this. Click in the description, link will be in there. Head over. It's free. As I say, my active recovery routine is in there. You can grab that, it's free, walk away and just see what I do every single day to try and do this. Okay, one caveat on this. When I say try and reduce stress, what a lot of what I would call type A people do. Okay, great. My way of reducing stress is to go for a jog. And exercise is a classic and very, very effective de-stressor. The problem is, and I'm sure you can see this, by now, I'm sure those of you out there listening to this will understand what's coming next, that exercise is also stressing your body out. So what I would suggest is try and find a way of relaxation, whatever you want to call it, de-stressing, that's not exercise based. And this is where a lot of you see these high driven CEOs, a lot of these guys that I work with, the hardest thing for them is getting them to have a hobby that's not high charging, super adrenaline, super powered, whatever. Just sit down and paint, or just sit down and read a book, just lie on the terrace and read. And, I can't do that because I feel like I'm not doing anything. I feel guilty. You've got to flip the switch. This was a huge learning for me when I managed to flip the switch from I'm not doing anything, I'm wasting my time, to I am recharging. This is the most essential part of my high performance routine, is this recharge time. Okay, so that's in a sense, if you're one of those people, those go, that's super essential. Try and find a hobby that's not exercise, because you'll do, your exercise is your kite surfing, is the gym, is things like that. It's that you're trying to recover from. So we need something that's not exercise based. Okay, so a key caveat there for those of you out there. Oh, cool, right? I'll go for a jog. I'll do more kite surfing. That relaxes me even more. It's not the idea here. We try to find another way around it. Okay. So what can we actually do? We've said all this. Okay, I think you've got the gist. It all starts before we exercise. But let's say, you are on the water, you're looking for a way, you're on holiday, you need a quick fix. How do I recover faster for tomorrow? Well, the problem here is the hacks, from my experience, the hacks that are affordable, that are portable, that you can actually take on holiday with you, aren't that effective. And you've probably heard of these as well. Compression garments. Yeah, do they work? Yes, scientifically, they do. Have I ever noticed the difference wearing compression garments? Not really. I do it because the science is in and it tells me it works. Do I really notice a massive difference with it? Not hugely. Not hugely. I'm sure it does do something, but you're probably talking a few percentage points, which, for a top level athlete, for Usain Bolt, that's perfect. He needs that. I don't need that. I just want to kite surf for a few hours the next day at my crappy level, So that's kind of that's where I'm finding with this. The one that I have noticed that does work really well is magnesium rubs. That does work to reduce aches and pains. Whether it actually improves performance, don't know. I would probably say it does, because the idea is that it's feeding the muscles, it's detoxing the muscles, it's allowing the muscles to function better. So a magnesium oil or something like that, the problem with them is, and the reason a lot of people don't use them is because it feels really weird. You put it on and it doesn't really feel like it's sinking in. So you feel like you're walking around with olive oil on your skin for the next 4 hours, which is quite uncomfortable. So this is why a lot of people don't use the magnesium stuff, but it does work. Massage, obviously, massage is a great one if you can get a massage. If not, then again, pliability. I've talked about that in a different video. Basically, the vibrating roller balls. Take them on holiday with you. Do them before and after each session. That does work quite well, I've found. Hot, cold saunas, cold plunge pools. They work really well as well. Again, it just forces blood flow around the body. But once you get past that, you're then starting talking about either expensive gadgets that you need generally, or more expensive procedures, more awkward procedures. Now, there is a lot you can do, electrostimulation, things like this, but I personally don't carry those kind of gadgets when I go to Egypt for a week. I don't have them now. I don't have a sensory deprivation chamber that I can dive into. These kind of things. I don't have EM manipulatable EMF fields that I can use. So it's those things, they work, but they're not quite as accessible for the layman. So this is what I mean. This is why I say that your recovery needs to start way before you get on the water, because actually often by the time you get off the water, generally it's too late. Something I should add in there as well, red light. Red light I have actually found to be very effective here. I did a talk on this with one of the founders of Red Light Rising. I've been using red light for years, found it very, very effective. It's something that's just kind of in my arsenal, I forget about. But red light is very, very useful. Again, as a kite surfer, if you're on a holiday, you're probably somewhere hot. Is it any more effective than just sunbathing for an hour after you've been kite surfing? Probably not. I imagine the sun's probably got a lot more goodness than a red light bulb will have. So yeah, maybe once you come off the water, sit in the sun for an hour. That can really help. And the idea is the red light frequencies penetrate the skin and kind of re-stimulate the muscles, stimulate the muscles to heal, stimulate internal organs to heal. So just sit on the beach. Don't put sun cream on because that stops it. So 10, 20 minutes on the beach, as much as you can without burning, and then boom, off you go. And then you cover up and whatever. But just get sunlight on the skin. That can really help as well. But again, I think with most of these post-recovery hacks, if you like, you're talking percentage points. The real magic starts way before you hit the water. I'm talking weeks, months, years before you hit the water. And I say, if you want an overview of that, go and grab the book. It's free. There's a load of stuff in there, from the workouts you can do to my active recovery routine. It's basically, think of it as your playbook, your underground playbook for post-40 performance. If you're a kite surfer, a surfer, a snowboarder, whatever, go and grab the book. It's free. Have a read through it. Let me know what you think. There's a lot of kind of wisdom in there, if you like. If coming from me, you can call it wisdom, if you see what I mean. My wisdom. Okay, so I think that is it from me. So the main point I want you to take away today, recovery is a lifestyle. It's not something you just do in a few minutes, a few hours. It's not a quick stretch when you get off the water. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you have to be conscious of. If this is where you want to go, every day, every single day, even when you're not, probably more so on the days when you're not kite surfing. Okay, how do I make sure that the next session I can recover from in much less time? So it's a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. And if you go into it looking for a quick fix, then I'm not your guy, basically, because I'm never going to talk about that. My whole sort of ethos on this is that the way we approach this is a lifestyle. And yeah, of course, I'm using kitesurf as an example, but this goes to everything. This changes your entire life when you get it, because obviously it's not just kitesurfing. You can now, it's everything. It's anything you want to do. But kitesurfing is my passion. I assume it's yours as well if you're still watching this. So that's why we talk about kitesurfing here. So that's it from me, guys. That was a long one. Thank you for bearing with me. I will catch you. I'll be back on Monday. I might try and do one on Friday this week. We'll see how that goes. But thanks for being here, guys. I will speak to you next time. See you soon.